Hello and welcome to Unmanned Uncovered. I'm your host, Ryan Shaffer, Global Marketing Manager at Consortiq. On today's episode, we have Blake Resnick, founder and CEO of BRINC Drones, creator of the ultimate SWAT team drone, the Lemur. We'll discuss how the Lemur came into existence and how it stands to give first responders the ability to remain safe in extremely dangerous situations. And we're going to tell you all about it coming up. I have to ask, you're in Vegas, are you a hockey guy?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been to a couple of Golden Knights games.
The reason I ask, I'm in Pittsburgh, so we gave Vegas a gift, our team did, and Marc-Andre Fleury, so I think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's very true.
So welcome to the show, Blake. Definitely happy to have you on and to talk a little bit about the Lemur and BRINC Drones as a whole. You have probably the most interesting unmanned story to uncover. You started college at 14. You had internships at DJI, Tesla, and McLaren. Now you're a CEO, and you did all of this before you were 18 years old. Let's start with how you got here. What sparked your interest in drones and mechanical engineering as a whole?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. So, no, I mean, it's hard to tell really where I first got interested in engineering. My mom likes to tell the story of when I was like, I think 4 or 5 years old. I got a bottle, one of my bottles, and I guess I tied a string to it and I hung it out of the window. When she was asking me what I was trying to do, I said I was trying to collect like moonbeams. So this is just something that, it's just a part of me. Ever since I was really young, I love building things. I love science. I love technology. And it all kind of just transferred over into what I've done in the past and what I'm doing now. I
got to say, I'm going to be 36 years old next month. And you've done more in a 3-year stretch than I've possibly done in my entire life. So it's pretty impressive, I would say.
I've been busy for sure.
So in 2017, everything seemed to change when gunfire rang out in Las Vegas. What are some of the next steps you took that eventually led you to founding BRINC and ultimately creating the Lemur?
The October 1 shooting was traumatizing to everyone in Vegas. We all knew people there. I unfortunately had some friends and family there. And when something like that happens in your community, it changes the way you think about the world a little bit. It really started bringing up these questions for me, like if there was some way that first responders could have determined what was happening sooner, they would have been able to save more people's lives. I don't know if you know this, but it took over an hour for police to enter the room where gunfire was emanating from that night, from the first shot ringing out, over an hour. For a lot of that time, first responders thought that what was going on during October 1 was a coordinated terror attack at like 4 or 5 different sites along the Las Vegas Strip. And the reason why that happened is because when some plainclothes police security officers heard about the shooting or were called in over the radios, they grabbed weapons and tried to respond. But the general public had no idea that those were actually the good guys. They thought they were additional shooters. So now this flood of 911 calls come in that are erroneous, calling out shooters at multiple different sites at multiple different times. And it creates a major issue for first responders understanding exactly what's going on. So my idea was if you could give first responders seconds after gunshots begin, an immediate understanding of the state of play and what's going on in these situations, they'd be able to coordinate responses and save people's lives when time really matters. So that's really what inspired sort of BRINC's current product offering and what we're doing now and hope to expand in the future. Our tools to give first responders life-saving information when it matters most.
In creating the Lemur, I have to ask, was this your first attempt at a drone or was this one of several that actually panned out?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So it's bring me back to the very early days of BRINC. We actually started with a larger platform that we worked on a little bit with DHS. So that was kind of the very early days. And then the October 1 shooting happened about halfway through that. And that's what changed our course to the smaller form factor drone. Something that could enter structures, find people, and then communicate with them without risking life.
And about the Lemur itself, I know it's a SWAT drone, but I know a lot of listeners are sort of wondering, what is this Lemur? What makes it truly unique?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a lot that's pretty unique about the platform. I mean, the first thing I'll say is it was basically the first drone ever to have full-blown two-way audio. So the drone literally has a cell phone number. It can be called up, and then you can have a full-blown conversation with someone utilizing the aircraft, which is a really cool, exciting capability. Helps a ton in SWAT type situations because now you're enabling communication between a hostage negotiator and a suspect. And I remember one of our customers was telling me recently that if you're able to start two-way communications with someone during a SWAT type scenario, 98% of the time that call out ends peacefully, has a peaceful resolution. So being able to enable that communication, whereas before it might not have been possible, really does, allow you to de-escalate situations and have more optionality when you're dealing with something like that as a SWAT commander. So that's a really unique feature. Another one we spent a lot of time on. So the camera on the drone is a 1080p at 60 FPS camera, but we developed an in-house night vision system, which is pretty cool. So it has 2 infrared LEDs on either side of the actual camera payload. And it actually has physical optics that switch depending on external lighting conditions. So our drone sees as well in 0 lighting conditions as it does like middle of the day. On top of that, our drone also has a glass breaker attachment, which is a really novel one. So if you're in a situation where, for example, a suspect has a rifle and is in a house and you can't send someone up to break out a window to let the drone in without risking that officer's life, then you can send the drone in and it can basically make its own hole into a structure and fly in and look for folks. Our drone can also push open like partially ajar doors. And if it lands on its back, it can flip itself over with a self-righting system. Plus, it has over 30 minutes of flight time, which is really high for such a small drone carrying so much gear. We do our own lithium-ion batteries in-house, which are really, really high-performance pieces of equipment. We also have over 10 hours of standby time. So in a lot of cases, you can clear, most of a house in just a few minutes, but there might be a door that's barricaded, for example, that you can't get through. So in that type of situation, you can literally land the drone, perch it, and then have live video and live ears, audio in the house for up to 10 hours watching that door to see if anything happens. You can carry a whole bunch of accessories. We also have very high signal penetration characteristics, so we can get through a lot of material, and we build repeater boxes for the drone. So you can more than double signal range with another piece of equipment that you can keep outside of a house, for example. And honestly, like the list of unique features just goes on. Like really is just a start. I mean, water resistance and all sorts of stuff. So ultimately, it's just custom built, bespoke tool to be able to fly up to houses from a block away, bust out a window, enter in, start clearing rooms, looking for suspects, opening doors, flipping itself over after crashes. And then when it does find someone, enabling that two-way communication so you can try to de-escalate what's going on. That's what we built.
So you've worked with actual first responders in creating this drone. What were some of the features that really stood out to them? And what were some that were suggested that you thought, hey, I didn't even think of that. That's a great feature. We should do that.
Literally most of them. Most features weren't our idea. They almost all came from, we developed the drone with Las Vegas Metro SWAT. It's one of the busiest SWAT teams in the United States. And before we even put pen to paper on designing this thing, I had conversations with their SWAT commander about what would actually matter, what would make their job safer and lead to higher success rates. So before we even started designing the drone, we were having those conversations. And then once we had a prototype, I actually went on call with Las Vegas Metro SWAT for a while to test it out. So I went on something like 20 SWAT callouts where we would deploy the technology and see where it worked, see where it didn't. And then if it didn't, we'd spend the next week, engineering some solution around that issue. So I remember one that was, an early change was just the development of our self-righting system. The very early lemurs couldn't flip themselves over after crashes. But on a lot of missions, we would crash at some point because we're operating in such constrained environments. So after that happened twice or something, we realized we had to do something about it. And then that's what led to that feature. Or in an early demo with Las Vegas Metro, they put us in a situation that was like zero light. And in the very first lemurs, we just had a low light camera on the drone. So we could see absolutely nothing. And they said, listen, almost all of our callouts are in this type of environment where there's just nothing that you can see. So for this to be usable, you're going to have to figure this out. I mean, it just kept going like that. Almost everything on this drone was the idea of a customer. Yeah, glass breaker too. Everything unique basically came from someone who's actually using it. And almost always because they saw it fail and wanted to come up with a solution to make it work better in the future.
This episode is brought to you by Consortiq. At Consortiq, we believe that, with drones, there's always a better way to do things. We train to instill confidence in those at the controls. We consult to ensure safety and mission success. We serve to help organizations quickly and efficiently achieve what's most important to them. Find your better way today. Visit Consortiq.com for details. Time is of the essence. How long is it ground to sky? How much time does it take to set up this drone and get it going? If you're in an emergency situation, you have to act quickly, obviously.
Literally less than 60 seconds. There's no calibration, no compass dance, no forced firmware updates or geofencing, nothing like that. We've timed ourselves doing it. I think the fastest I've seen is like 35 seconds from, opening the box to getting the drone airborne. So it's a very fast process.
With that all said, how long was it start to finish until you just realized, hey, we have the perfect drone, we can go to market now?
We still don't have the perfect drone. There's always room for improvement. And we have a bunch of engineering efforts going on to make it even better. I'd say what happened, once we started getting to a pace where the drone would have a real impact on a SWAT call out, like 70, 80% of the time it was deployed, to be able to clear most of a house, to be able to find someone, be able to talk to them, or even something as simple as we'd be able to search an entire house and then tell SWAT their suspect wasn't there before they had to send anyone in. Like, enough of these things started accumulating. The success rate just got higher and higher. And Las Vegas said, we want to buy a couple of these things just for our own internal use. That was a very good sign that it was time to start marketing it more extensively. So we sold this to Vegas, and then we started slowly ramping up, talking to other departments up until kind of the stage we're at now.
We've talked about SWAT teams and police departments. Who else could benefit from the Lemur and why?
Basically, what Lemur's all about is being able to look inside structures without risking anybody's life. That's really what Lemur does. It's useful in a whole bunch of industries. Hazmat, for example. If there's a chemical spill and you want to be able to look inside and read a label without potentially exposing a human being to something deadly. Or military applications in urban combat situations where there may or may not be, an armed combatant in a house that you want to send soldiers into. Being able to look inside that house before you risk those servicemen's lives by making entry is a very powerful capability. Search and rescue applications also make a ton of sense. Private security applications. Really wherever you want to be able to get eyes and ears into a place that might be dangerous for humans, Lemur is a great choice.
Are you also serving globally, or is this still just a United States sort of thing?
We started in the United States. We do all of our manufacturing here, so it's where we began. We're based in Las Vegas, so our first customers were Las Vegas police departments. But from there, it's been growing nationally and internationally. So we do have international sales. And one area of real focus now is sort of the EMEA region. So Europe, Middle East, Africa. And our operations there are absolutely scaling. So it is getting more and more global.
Over the past few years, we've seen drone delivery, autonomy, a vast array of advancements in UAS technology. What's something you think we're going to see, say, in the next 5 years from the drone industry as a whole?
I'll tell you an area that I'm really excited about is I think drones can replace police helicopters. And this is something we think a lot about at BRINC. Potential solutions for responding to all 911 calls, all emergencies seconds after they occur. I think that's deeply exciting. I think base stations that can autonomously recharge drones without a human being having to be nearby is a massive development. I think we'll see more and more of those. I think advanced autonomy is another really big one. Allowing a drone to complete its full mission without a human being ever looking at it. And then just giving the person end use insights. There's a person in this house and here they are. Or, this section of your oil pipeline is getting corroded and needs maintenance. Or this area of your agricultural field is being destroyed by insects. Here's crop health. This is the future of the drone industry, in my opinion. Fully autonomous systems providing actual insights to end-use customers, not just mountains of data. I think we'll see the whole industry get closer and closer to that.
So what's next for you in BRINC as a whole? You have the Lemur. Is there another one coming down the pipeline, or do you just want to continue building upon this one until you find the right time?
don't want to get too much into exact product roadmap, but the immediate engineering priorities are making Lemur as good as it can possibly be.
What's the typical development cycle for Lemur?
We are building them as fast as humanly possible. That's kind of where we're at. We're an American company. We're doing American manufacturing in Las Vegas, scaling the team very rapidly. We have something like 20 full-time salaried manufacturing technicians now building drones. So we do have a backlog of about 150 systems, but we're getting through that pretty fast now. And our manufacturing capacity will continue to ramp. I think what we're quoting now is 8 to 12 weeks lead time, but we're working hard to get that down.
I see that you can buy them on Adorama. So where are a few places that someone could go and make the purchase for a BRINC right now?
Always more than welcome to come to us direct. We also do have some amazing distributors, so you can find a whole list on our website. Adorama is one, Drone Nerds is another, UVT, really an excellent assortment of distributors.
Well, Blake Resnick, thank you very much for joining the show today and for talking about BRINC drones and the Lemur. I think it's a really impressive piece of drone technology.
Thank you for having me. I really do believe what we build can keep people safe in dangerous situations and prevent instances where first responders have to risk their lives getting intelligence that a robot can. We really are working hard to live in a world where that just doesn't have to happen anymore. And all of that life-saving critical intelligence is immediately available to first responders without risking their lives. If anyone is interested in learning more about BRINC or getting a demo of our current technology, please do reach out on brincdrones.com, and we'd love to meet with you.
And that is BRINC, BRINC, drones.com. Blake, I really appreciate it. And do you think the Golden Knights are going to win the Stanley Cup?
We'll see. We got pretty close. Pretty close before. Not bad for, first year hockey team. I'm going to go ahead and decline to predict that exactly, but I can tell you I'm definitely rooting for them.
As a hockey guy myself, I got to say they're the team I'm watching.
You should come to Vegas for a game. They are electric. Unlike basically any other sporting event I've ever been to. Like the amount of passion like Vegas fans have for the Golden Knights is just crazy.
Yeah, I think I saw a wedding there the other night.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, I appreciate it again, Blake. Again, check it out, brincdrones.com. Look forward to talking to you again at some point.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
And that's all for this episode of Unmanned Uncovered. Make sure to join us next time as we continue to navigate all of the innovation that the drone industry is providing. Thanks for listening and take care.